Hello Scorpio, thank you for coming to my channel, International Tarot. This is my second round of tarot videos for each sign, or tarot readings for each sign. If you watched in November, thank you for coming back. I'm super happy to have you. And if this is your first time watching, just know that with each video, I actually do two readings. I start with a love reading, and I do a general reading next. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes if there is an issue or a love energy that's very strong, it's almost as like you get two love readings. So anyway, I've been shuffling for a little while. Oh, one more thing. Just so you know, I do have my contact information in the description box below if you feel like reaching out. So, okay, I've been shuffling for a while, but I'm going to keep shuffling, and then I'll go ahead and draw. So, this is for Scorpio. Love reading for December 2015. One more, and that will be good. Actually, one more. Okay. Here we go for Scorpio, love reading for December 2015. Magician, King of Cups, Ten of Wands, Temperance, the Lovers, Two of Cups, Ten of Swords, Ace of Cups, and Death. Okay, Scorpio. So I'm kind of seeing some things kind of take a pattern in your reading, which I don't normally see it going this way. However, your cards are laid out in a very interesting manner. And let me explain. In the very center, you have the Lovers, which is a lovely card. I mean, in a love reading, this is the ultimate, this is the Zeus of the tarot for a love reading. It's the best one you can have. And you have like 2-2-2, the Temperance, which is the meeting of the mind and the heart, and that balance between the two, and with the Two Cups. You have the two individuals with the Lovers, and you have your Two of Cups, so Two Cups, which is not necessarily such a strong romantic card, but it is that meeting of the minds, that initial attraction, that, successful communication. And, in a love reading next to the Lovers, it can mean, a strong connection and reinforce the meaning of the Lovers card. And at the top you have, so that goes this way. At the top you have your King of Cups, which I feel is a potential love interest for you, or it could also mean you being represented here, and that is in line with the Lovers and the Ace of Cups, which is a new love entering your life. And then when I look at these diagonally, and you go from corner to corner, like in the X pattern, when I go this way, I have two tens, Ten of Wands and Ten of Swords, which is, the Wands, the sense of obligation and responsibility, a load that you're willing to bear, but still a responsibility and a frustration nonetheless. And a Ten of Swords, which is like an emotional overwhelm, an all-consuming level of thoughts. I mean, this is just something that's so prominent in your mind. It's just like like you're just so, your whole life is being consumed by these thoughts. And then when I go diagonally in the other direction, you have the Death card and the Magician card bookending your reading. And the Magician is that, I call it like the aha moment. It's that strike of lightning, light bulb turning on type of idea in regards to anything. You know, your Magician card is the beginning of anything. Your wand, sword, cup, or pentacle, that beginning. And for you, I'm seeing the cups, obviously. It's your love reading. So the beginning, initial aha moment in a love capacity. But at the end, you have your death, which is the end of a cycle. It's things coming to a close, a period of closure. So, I mean, you have like the start and the end, and these all-consuming, load-bearing 2 10s on each kitty corner, and then in the middle, and these sort of square up these lovely ideas of a soulmate quality attraction with someone, a new beginning, with a potential King of Cups, which could potentially be a water sign, you know, a Pisces, Scorpio, or Cancer. And, you know, it could, and that's why I said it could represent them, and it can also represent you. And even that makes sense because, you know, two kings, two king-like energies are usually a very good match. You're on equal footing. You're on the same wavelength. You're on the same page. You're at the same level of emotional maturity. And that type of entrance into your life, or that type of, you know, when you're being presented with a love interest or an offer of love, which seems to be what is happening here, you know, it could almost be just an instantaneous, you know, the magician quality, like, aha, this is everything I have ever wanted type of connection. Although with that type of connection and that type of like moving forward, you know, oftentimes that is you moving forward in this, you know, like you are both on the same page, you are moving forward on parallel paths, and you both want the same things. And typically, not always, but typically that path is, you know, you meet, you date, you get into a committed relationship, either you get married or you move in together, or you move in together and then you get married and then you start having babies. You know, that's just sort of the natural progression of everything. And it's just kind of the way it goes. And with that idea, you know, like, it's you moving into this relationship, and I see it, you know, fairly quickly, because it's you with someone that you do have such a strong connection with. And with that, and knowing those things, this person suddenly becomes your main priority. It suddenly becomes your obligation. It is, this relationship is suddenly very prominent in your life. Now, if you are in a committed relationship and you may be having this meeting of the mind, or this balancing of the mind with your heart, where finally you're both like moving in the same direction, it requires a significant change in your life. You being the load bearer and carrying these, and again, I've said this maybe not in your reading last time, but this is kind of how I describe this card, is these wands are heavy, they're clumsy, they're difficult to carry, they are awkward, They are going to be put to good use. They have utility. You're carrying them with a purpose. You're carrying them because you want to, but regardless, the load is still heavy and it weighs on your shoulders, and it very much becomes, a prominent presence in your life, which is indicated here. Um, Essentially, you are moving on into a completely new phase. And sometimes when we have this soul level type, soulmate quality type of connection with someone, when this happens, they do become our main priority. They do become what our life becomes about. And they require, or they might not require, they might not be demanding this of you. However, you are giving them a significant amount of your mental energy. And this card doesn't necessarily have to mean bad thoughts or bad things. It's just, this card is very black, and black absorbs all light, all color. It just sucks it in. And you might be just sucking everything in and consuming yourself with thoughts of this person and thoughts of this moving forward, the new thoughts, the new responsibilities that are being brought into your life. But again, not in a bad way. It might be bad how much you're thinking about it or how consumed you are. This is kind of like almost like an obsessive type of mentality about it. But it's still a beautiful connection nonetheless. And even here, hold on. Even these three cards lined up right in a row are so lovely. You see an angel and an angel with red wings, red wings, red wings. This is so much love and brightness with the sun shining and the twos. Again, you have the two people, you have the two cups, the meeting, the balance, the beautiful terrain, the beautiful land, the beautiful situations, the calm nature of each one of these. It's like literally angels are descending into your life and blessing you with the absolute most amazing blessing you ever could have asked for. It's this row is just so lovely. And then when I put these three together, like I said in the cross, you and potentially this person of equal stature, of equal mentality and maturity, you both are feeling this way. You're both on that same page, and it is something new and unexplored, and something that is just like, again, here too is, like a dove descending out of the heavens, the hand descending out of the heavens, presenting you with this amazing offer, this amazing connection, the connection that we all seek and crave. And I feel as though it will be a sudden thing that happens because of the presence of the magician. It's something that, is like a very conscious, you're very aware of what's happening. And, that awareness is kind of maybe what is causing this Ten of Swords here, that you're aware of how much you're thinking about them. You're aware of how prominent they are in your life. You're aware of the load that you're bearing. You're aware of everything. And you are also aware that this new opportunity, that this new offering of love, this new offering of a soulmate quality partner. And I say soulmate quality, I'm not necessarily saying you're going to be together forever, but you might perceive them as like they were put on this earth specifically for you. And that signifies an end. And Scorpio, this is your card in the tarot. So your tarot card is the Death card. And it's not only indicative of an ending, the ending of a phase, the closure, maybe, you know, if you're single, it's that closure of being single and moving rapidly into something strong and significant, which again could also be the cause of these swords as well. And that also means the presence of this card in your reading also represents you, Scorpio, being very much in your Scorpio element. And, you know, you are a very sexual sign as well. And that is, you know, the lovers, that intense passion, that very, very strong sexual connection as well. And you know, this death is the end of a phase, the end of an era, the end of a significant period of time in your life. And it is you being very comfortable and very confident in who you are and just being your wonderful, lovely Scorpio selves. So let me pull an outcome card for you. One more and then done. The Three of Pentacles, which, let me explain this card a little bit and how I interpret this. So this card is, oftentimes I see it as a work-related card. And let me kind of just say it. So you have worked hard, you've built a lot, you've built up a lot of experience, and you're at a certain point in your life where you are showcasing the things that you have done, the showcasing your accomplishments. And you are using your talent, your skills, your craftsmanship, and leveraging that into new opportunities, leveraging this work into new commissioned work. Now, in a love reading, that can also mean that you are even communicating. This is also a card of communication and creativity, and you know, the meeting of the minds. You know, here you are the artisan, and here are clients or potential clients. And again, this is also a very social card. And actually, I didn't mention this, but in the December readings, I'm almost always pulling out some element of social activity. With the holidays coming up, you know, you have parties and things that you're going to, events that you're attending. So multiple messages with this card. But specific to the concepts in this love reading, I feel as though it is a successful communication, a successful endeavor, and an agreement that's being reached to move forward. I mean, which is, again, and I held up this card, it's like that perfect meeting of the minds, that communication. You know, you are on the same page, you're on the same level, you're on the same stature. It's not often when I see a card as indicative of two energies. Usually it's just one. You know, this would be either you or them. And in this case, I do see it as both. And you're just on equal ground. So yeah, I think that's it. So I'm going to shuffle the cards. I'm going to turn off the camera and I'm going to do a general reading. Now, the general reading may or may not be similar. It may have some of the same, since this is such an all-consuming energy for you. I feel as though you might get some similar messages in the general reading. However, it could have nothing to do with this and be, work or health or family or related to something else. So give me just a minute. I'm going to turn off the camera and then I'll go ahead and draw for the general. Okay, Scorpio, I've been shuffling for several minutes, kind of cleaning the cards, getting them ready for your general reading. So give me just a few more shuffles and then I think we'll be good to go. Scorpio, general reading for December 2015. Okay, one more. Here we go. Scorpio, general reading for December 2015. Two of Cups, the Hanged Man, Six of Pentacles, the Lovers, the Seven of Pentacles, the Six of Swords, Seven of Swords, go, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Page of Pentacles. Okay, here we go. So in the last Lovers reading, or the Love reading, I found, we pulled two of the same cards, the Two of Cups and the Lovers. So that's going to be a carried over concept into this reading as well. We also pulled your Ten of Swords, and I feel like a lot of this reading is related to that one card as well. And not necessarily in the realms of love. Yes, in the realms of love, but more so just in your own life and just sort of a reassessment of things and your situation and even your work situation and your relations to others. And there might even be a little bit of pullback or a little bit of emotional draw from you on some level. And maybe not emotional draw, but more of a mental opposition internally going on in your head. So let me go ahead and get started because I'm going to start with the Lovers and the Two of Cups because these concepts I can get kind of out of the way really quick because these are exactly what they were in the last reading. There will be a meeting of the mind with someone, some level of connection, an initial attraction that could blossom into this amazing soulmate quality connection. And it's a very prominent energy in your life at this point in time. And that causes, sometimes when people come into our lives that we begin to genuinely care about very, very quickly, it turns our world upside down. And that's the perfect segue to the Hangman. I mean, this person, this presence, this energy, this feeling, these feelings that we have, or that you have, are going to cause you, it's like a whirlwind type of connection, and it will cause you to just start, okay, well, my situation, my life, my career, my profession, my choices in the past, everything that I've done, everywhere that I've been, everything that I've been working for, is that really what I want? Is that really my main goal in life? You know, if you are single, oh, I'm sorry, here's my cat. She's coming to say hi. Come here, baby. I know, I know. You know, if you're single and you are, you know, moving very, very quickly into this new relationship, and if you have been single for a long time, and I'm just using this as an example just to kind of put pictures to it, um, you might be, you know, you may have had goals of, you know, buying a home in a certain part of town. And now that you've met someone, you're thinking, oh, well, now I need a family, so I probably need to buy a different kind of home in a different part of town, you know, like a suburb or something like that. So the things that you were working for and the things that you were so focused on, you are going through a period of reevaluation and reassessment. And these cards go perfectly together. Here you are looking at the things that you've done, your goals, your aspirations, the things that you've wanted to do, that you have done and that you've accomplished and you have been successful with. But now you're thinking, is that what I really want? Is that what I'm really working for? Is that all there is? You know, even some level of dissatisfaction with that, because it all of a sudden might not seem like enough. It might not seem good enough for you, and not even for this other person. It's for you. You know, you're a Scorpio, you work hard. That's, you know, kind of your MO. You're a producer, you make things happen. And all of a sudden, oh my God, these things aren't good enough. These things aren't going to leave room for someone else. There's no wiggle room. There's no, you know, space. There's, you know, I didn't really think about this. I didn't take this into consideration. So, and again, I use that being single and looking for an apartment or a home or something, you know, that can carry over into all elements of your life. You know, well, my profession might not necessarily, you know, I travel all the time. That's not conducive for a lifelong partnership and growing a family. You know, those types of things, those types of ideas are the things that enter into your mind. I pulled 2 sixes as well. So you actually have 3 sixes in this reading. The Lovers, which is the major arcana, the major ruler of the sixes, if you will, and I pulled the 6 of Pentacles and the 6 of Swords. Now, I pulled this card for a lot of other signs, and it's twofold. On a lighter note, it is indicative of travel. With the holidays coming up, and I may have mentioned this in the Lovers reading, there are a lot of social activities happening. There are a lot of trips and vacations and going to see family, and you know, this card, the 6 of Swords, could represent the actual journeys, you know, sometimes somewhere nearby, oftentimes over a body of water, and or somewhere near the water. Not always, but it could be. And so there's that lighter element of this. Now, on the other side of it, this can represent a spiritual journey, a taking a movement in direction from rough, choppy waters into the smooth, glassy, watered horizon, into a peaceful place. You know, these swords represent your life experiences, the lessons that you've learned, things that you've acquired over time, the knowledge that you've acquired over time that make you who you are in a good way. These are the things that you bring with you. You know, we don't just, you know, if we change locations or if we change, you know, a mindset, we don't just forget everything we've learned. I mean, those things become a part of who we are. And when you are exploring a new relationship or you are exploring a new phase, when there is an opportunity placed in front of you, we do you know, we do carry the lessons of the past with us. And with this card represents that give and take, that, you know, when you're in need, ask, and when you have, give. And it's that balancing of the scale. You know, the sixes, the lovers, you know, they do represent that balance, that peaceful union, that coming together, and it's like something that just sort of fits. Something that when you find that balance, when you find that peace, it's something that really just fits and feels right. And, you know, I do see a lot of pentacle cards. You have the 6 and 7, and the Ace of Pentacles, and the Page of Pentacles as well. And I'm going to get to the 7 because you have the 7 of Swords and the 7 of Pentacles. And while the 7 of Pentacles is that period of reassessment and that period of reevaluating, the 7 is almost like the 7 of Swords, I'm sorry, is almost like a self-sabotage. And that's kind of why I said, you know, that 10 of Swords from your last reading, that this is kind of the overlying theme of that is being displayed here, is when we are presented with things that are so great and so promising, but that do require a significant change on our part. Sometimes we like to think ourselves out of it and to make excuses for why it's not in our best interest or why it's not what we really want. And we constantly are going through that internal battle of how much responsibility and how much obligation this change will actually require. So we fight against it, even though it is so promising, even though it is that soulmate quality of partnership, even though it could be very, very promising for us in the future. It's that human nature that we just don't necessarily like change. And this card can also represent a somewhat of a retreat as well, and a regathering of your thoughts. You know, you might be aware that you're like thinking so hard about this and it's so like heavy on your shoulders. So a period of retreat, a period of, again, reevaluation. That's the word that just keeps popping up. Reevaluating, reassessing your situation, and coming to that mutual understanding, you know, finding that balance, coming to that spiritual, like, calmness, if you will, coming to that, and, you know, just realizing what needs to be done in order to make this a peaceful transition for yourself. Now, the last two cards I haven't talked to yet, the Ace of Pentacles and the Page of Pentacles. And I'm feeling as though this is more career oriented, or, you know, some type of an opportunity being presented to you, offered to you, that could be, you know, you will receive some sort of news of a new opportunity. And again, the aces are prominent energies. They're things that we're very well aware of. We understand what's being offered. You know, there's not a lot of secrecy with these. It's just something that we either know we have it or we know that we don't, and we know that it's being offered. Now, these are opportunities that have the potential to be incredibly fruitful. And, you know, like here you have the Ace of Pentacles, but down below you have this beautiful blossoming garden. And with this page, you know, pages are youthful energies. They're excited, they're anxious, they're, you know, the Page of Pentacles, maybe a little bit of a slower type energy, but still very curious, very productive, likes to be assigned chores, if you will, likes to fulfill his sense of duty. And, as a Scorpio, as a producer, as someone that um, also likes to put their head down and work and make things you make things happen. That's your MO. That's what makes you who you are. So for you, being presented with this sense of duty and this sense of, you have to take what's being given you and make something out of it. It's not enough to just be handed something, to be rewarded with something. That's not enough. It's taking that and turning it into something really, really great. And again, there comes in and therein lies that sense of responsibility, that sense of duty, and that reassessment of your current state, your current situation, and finding that balance internally and mentally and emotionally, that emotional balance here within yourself as well as with someone else, and coming to terms with your own, your own thoughts. And this could be the hardest part. This is the struggle here. It's not the introduction of something lovely into your life. That's not what it is. It's this type of like fighting against yourself and not necessarily knowing why. Go ahead and do an outcome for you, Scorpio, in general. Ah, that was a bad shuffle. Go. It's better. One more. That was also a bad shuffle. There we go. Okay. Your King of Swords. So you don't necessarily have a lot of swords in your readings, but they seem to be jumping out at me. And your King of Swords is you. This is you mastering those thoughts, conquering those things that, you're self-sabotaging a little bit, or at least you are leaning that way, or you're having a tendency to allow your thoughts to talk you out of something wonderful. And you being able to master that which is going on inside of your mind, it seems like you will conquer that. You will gain control over that. This is a very intelligent, philosophical, mental master, if you will, type of energy. And this king would never allow himself to sabotage something. That's just not in his nature. The kings are kings. They're not pages, they're not knights. They are the best at what they do. They are the masters. And you would never allow yourself. It seems like you're going to come to a very conscious decision. You will recognize, like I said, you will recognize what it is you're doing and what it is you're thinking. And you will recognize the importance of what's happening in your life and the significance of everything. And while human nature, doesn't necessarily like change and likes to talk ourselves out of that change, you will very quickly snap out of it and realize what you need to do to overcome that challenge. So Anyway, I think that is your reading for December 2015. Thank you again so much for watching. I'm so happy you're here. And please keep your eyes open. I'm going to be doing a year 2016 reading as well for each sign, just a more general reading. So keep your eyes open for that. If you have any questions, again, my contact information is in the description box down below, and I can be reached there. And if there's anything else, just let me know. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon.